8th grade, go to lesson 4 on page 12 of your Language Arts book 810. Hey, we are cruising through this book. And once again, we're having a review. So you learned active and passive voice a little while ago in verbs. Active voice, remember, is when the subject is the doer of the action. Passive voice is when the subject is the receiver of the action. Okay, today's lesson is related to that, and it's actually important to remember about active and passive voice. So just kind of hang on to that idea. But today we're trying to talk about transitive and intransitive verbs, and I just pointed out up here very clearly, once again, that when we're talking about both active and passive voice, and when we're talking about transitive and intransitive, we're always talking about action verbs. So we're on this action subject. What do we mean by transitive and intransitive? Well, the word kind of says it. So transitive passes its action or transfers its action to something else in the sentence. So again, it has to be an action verb because you can't pass action if you don't have action. So a verb of being, your out verbs would be just action verbs. All right? So transitive passes its action to another word in the sentence. Something in the sentence is going to receive the action. And that something is, of course, going to be a noun or pronoun because, a something is a noun or pronoun. So it's going to pass action to its noun or pronoun. Now, of course, your wheels are turning in your mind saying, yeah, we know direct object. Pass action to direct object. Whoop, hang on. This one can catch you. And you learn this. Now let's come back to the active and passive voice. So there are two kinds of these transitive verbs. Yes, active voice, subject is the doer of the action, and the action verb, and then the direct object is the receiver of the action. But what about passive voice? You see, active voice and passive voice sentences both have transitive verbs. An intransitive verb doesn't have active and passive voice. It doesn't apply because you don't have... Am I saying that right? Anyway, let's back up. So yes, passive voice sentences are also transitive verbs because the action is being transferred to something. So in a passive voice sentence, the subject is the receiver of the action. And we'll look at some examples here just shortly. Actually, let's look at that right now. Very top of the page. Very top of the page, verb review, transitive and intransitive verbs. Okay, so there we go. Look at the examples about Caleb. Everybody see about Caleb? So there you have an active voice. Caleb's the subject, carried is the verb, Caleb's the doer, and the receiver would be the groceries. So that's active voice. And it has a receiver of the action. So that means it's transitive. Okay, next one. The damaged airplane was repaired by Nate Saint. Okay, so verb is was repaired. Who did it? Nate Saint. There you have the doer. Was repaired. Was there something repaired? Does something receive the action? Airplane. Yeah, so let's just think about this very carefully. When we see transitive or intransitive, when we say transitive, we mean the action gets passed to something. So this sentence is transitive because was repaired, there's an answer. It was the airplane. So even though it seems turned around, there's no direct object, the receiver of the action is still there. And that's where you have the active and passive voice. Now, what is an intransitive verb? Intransitive action verb simply means you have an action verb, but it doesn't pass to anything. And I just have down here as a point, often it's followed by an adverb. So you have descriptive adverbs. I don't know if that's the right way to say adverbs, but you have adverbs that say how, when, where, or why, or to what extent. And often there'll be prepositional phrases that are adverbs, but again, they're not receiving the action. So here we go. Linda walks to work when the weather is nice. So Linda walks. So what gets walked here? There's no answer. Actually, let's back up, because that's showing you how you can use a verb both ways. So do you see the one that says Jesus arose? Jesus arose. So what? He just arose. The action isn't past. The children chattered. Chattered what? It doesn't excitedly tells how they chattered. Chrissy's family lives. Okay, they just live. Again, it's not past anything. So then, now they're showing you how, and the word walks, how that it can be either way. So Linda walks to work when the weather is nice. Linda walks, you have where she walks and when she walks, so when and where. They're both adverb phrases. Now, you can, with the same word, you can say, Julie walks her dog every morning. So Julie walks, now what's being walked? The dog. So now you have receiving the action. Okay, so let's look down through there. Let me give you some hints on 3 through 10. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 that are transitive, and 1, 2, 3. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. Only 3 that are intransitive. Okay, so let's look at number 3, the first one. Dale took many pictures on his trip to South America. So Dale took, took pictures. So something receives the action. Yes, that's transitive. Okay, so now let's go to number 6. Many butterflies were attracted by the new bushes. So were attracted is the verb. And you ask yourself, so is there anything that was attracted? Okay, so here we got this active and passive voice that comes in. Yes, something was attracted, and that which was attracted is the butterflies. And butterflies ends up being the subject. And so yes, that's transitive. My phone's ringing here. Let me just check that. Okay, I'll get it later. Okay, so yes, that is a transitive, even though this time it's the subject that is receiving the action and not the direct object. Okay, so you're supposed to underline the verb. You're supposed to identify it as transitive or intransitive, and if it is transitive, you need to circle the receiver of the action. So on number 3, you should have underlined took and circled pictures. And on number 6, you underline were attracted, but you circle butterflies. Okay, so now you're going to use the word left on numbers 11 and 12. And you want to do kind of the same thing that they did with walks. So you need to take the word left and one time make it intransitive, just like Linda walks to work when the weather is nice. And then one time make it transitive, like Julia walks her dog every morning. So same word, but one time the action gets passed, one time it doesn't. All right, use those very carefully. Okay, I think that is about all you need to think about on that one. So have a good time doing lesson 4 and transitive and intransitive verbs. Thank you.